ये जो क्लास मिस थी यूं याद है क्लास में
आपकी कलर प्रिंट आउट है पहला 10 में फिर बाद में 5 का
हरे कृष्णा
Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा धन्यवाद प्रणाम
हरे कृष्ण माताजी धन्यवाद प्रणाम
हरे कृष्णा धन्यवाद प्रणाम let's chant the prayers and then we can begin ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome all of you to today's session 3 of Nectar of Instruction. Okay. So let's have a quick review of what we covered last night and then we move ahead with today's lesson. Okay, so we looked at text 2 and text 3 and there we saw 6 favorable and 6 unfavorable activities with reference to examples. We all read through them and many of you contributed such wonderful examples, analogies and quotes as it was given in Prabhupada's purport. Okay, what else did we cover? Anyone else remembers that?
Mataji.
What else did we cover? Yes, in yesterday's lesson, apart from these points, like whatever comes to your mind, you remember, you can share that.
We discussed about Niyam Agraha in detail.
Okay, yes.
The glories of devotional life also we discussed at the end of the class when we were done with do's and don'ts.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yes. What else? How many participants are here? Anybody else wants to contribute? All right.
We also, the last activity that we did was that how and what we need to improve in, how we can improve it in our personal life as well. So that was the last activity where we finished the class.
Yeah. So,
And yes, Mataji, I was also having the, and we did the presentation of Jan Sanghasya Chalolem Cha. So in this we started that Jan Sanghas and these two things are correlated. संग त्यागा सतोव्रत है तो जनसंघर्ष and संग त्यागा is correlated and then it turns to सतोव्रत है. So we did like this, that we should not have association with the worldly people, and to grow in the Krishna consciousness we should avoid. And what is the solution? To have association of like-minded people and of devotees of Krishna consciousness people we should associate with, and this will lead to us to Satovrite.
very good. Thank you.
We also discussed about Mataji Atyahara. We
Yeah.
should be doing Atyahara, जो प्रभु जी ने example दिया था.
Yes. So in just we saw the plans for applying points particularly relevant from the text 2 and 3, and Prabhupada's mood in adjusting, which we towards the end we saw what other adjustments on religious principles he did in relation to Niyamagraha. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. So let's move with today's lesson, where we will look at on text 4, which basically is explaining us what are the 6 kinds of loving exchanges. So if you see through the sequence of these verses, the first 2 were kind of don'ts and the third text was do's, because once you are told the don'ts, and then okay, so what was the text 3? They were the favorable things, which like utsahan, how one should be conducting his life, right? With what are the principles that we need to inculcate to which enhances our bhakti. Now, this text 4 is actually telling us the practical ways where we can do so. Now, okay, we don't take, we are not taking the association of worldly men. So now what do we do? Okay, you take association of devotees, but how do you take that association of devotees? That's the next question which comes. So this text is an answer or explanation for that. So how do we associate with devotees? What do we do with them? Right? Do we worship them or do we talk with them? What do we do with them? Okay. So the text for this is also one of your, I think, memorization verses, the first 4 verses. So dadati pratigrhanati guhyamakyati prachati bhute bhojayate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. So here if you open your book and text 4, so if somebody can again recite this verse and read the word to word.
जी Mataji, may I?
Yes.
ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यम् आख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोज्यते चैव सद्विद्धं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. ददाति gives charity, प्रतिगृह्णाति accepts in return, गुह्यम confidential topics, आख्याति explains, पृच्छति inquires, भुङ्क्ते eats, भोज्यते feeds, च also, ev certainly, Satvidham 6 kinds, Preeti of love, Lakshanam symptoms.
Please read the
Should I read the
translation.
translation?
Yeah.
Translation. Offering gifts in charity, one's mind in confidence, accepting prasada and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another.
Okay, just if you could read the first paragraph of the purport.
Mataji, purport by His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how to perform devotional service activities in the association of other devotees. There are 6 kinds of activities. First, giving charity to the devotees. Second, accepting from the devotees whatever they may offer in return. Third, opening one's mind to the devotees. Fourth, inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord. Fifth, honoring prasad or spiritual food given by the devotees. And sixth, feeding the devotees with prasad. An experienced devotee explains and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. This is Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. When a devotee distributes prasad, remnants of food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasad as the Lord's grace received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees to our home, offer them prasad, and be prepared to please them in all respects. This is called Bhunkte Bhojyate Cha Eva. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So let's look at breaking these words. What do they actually symbolize? What do they mean? So, like the first word is dadati. That means giving. If giving in charity, and then pratigrahanati. That means receiving. And here, like in the first, okay, we'll move ahead. And then guhyam is secret. That's confidential, where we open up our minds, our confidential whatever spiritual matters which we want to discuss. Then akhyati is explaining, and prachati is inquiring. So our confidential spiritual topics which we have some problems, we can explain that and inquire from the pure devotee how to whatever the problems are or whatever questions you have in your spiritual life. So that inquiry, that is prichati, asking spiritual questions. And bhumte, eat, eating, like here in the purport first paragraph what we read, to eat honor prashadam, and bhojayate, feeding them. Okay. Okay, so this is what in you can say word to word, this is what it means. And here Prabhupada is going to be is actually speaking, explaining all these aspects in the purport quite elaborately, which we'll look through in the next few minutes. So now what we understand, you can say in a nutshell, this there are 6 these symptoms or of love when we share. See, love means service, right? So, I mean, you have your family members, you have your children. So, how do you show your love? By serving them, right? It's for everyone. I mean, for the husband, for the wife, for the children. So, when we serve each other, that's when we love. That's a mark of respect. That how we love is by serving. So these are the 6 symptoms of love that Sri Rupa Goswami is mentioning, which are shared by among the devotees. Right now, we want to aspire, grow in our bhakti, devotional life. So these are the 6 activities which we must be inculcating to reach that highest platform. Now, to reach something higher, you need to take a bit more extra effort to reach that high. You need to repeat. So here, uh, this says is we are giving gifts in charity. So we give them whatever is required according to the, and we receive after you honor them or something, and then they give you some gifts, like they give you some or some Mahaprasad in return. So we receive that. So in receiving, we take their blessings, and that's how we can progress in our
और भगवान की कृपा से
devotional
हमको
life.
आसानी से भगवान का
So
धाम
I have an
प्राप्त है
Guhyamakhyaati Prachati, like
और
as
बुद्धियों
we discussed.
जो ज्ञानी और
This
योगी
is
होते हैं वो भगवान
we are inquiring them our confidential spiritual
से ही
subject
शुरू करना
matters,
चाहते हैं
you
अपने
know,
प्रयास से ही वो मुक्ति को
whatever
प्राप्त
that be, depending on each devotee's life,
भगवान की कृपा
pertaining to their circumstance.
ये भक्ति विशेषता है
That is Guhya Makhyati and
से
Prachati.
भगवान के ऊपर
And
निर्भर होता है
feeding,
तो फिर भगवान
honoring Prasadam, and partaking Prasadam with them.
हम
So now my question is, reflect on your experience of applying these 6 symptoms of love among us devotees over the last 2 weeks, which you would have. What? So you have got like maybe 5 minutes. You can think over, and then we will see what you have to share with the rest of the class. So reflect on your experience of applying these the 6 symptoms of love among us devotees over the last 2 weeks, which you have had. I'm sure you must have had. If you're working, and then you're not in the association of devotees from Monday through Friday, so at least probably on weekend you are. And even if not, now that you're doing this Bhakti Sastri, probably 5 days a week, so you're having some association for sure, at least 5 days a week. So you can reflect on your experience of applying the 6 symptoms of love amongst the devotees over the last 2 weeks. So you've got 5 minutes. Now what is the time? Let me see. Now it is 7:20, so 7:25. Now I'll ask. You can reflect back and maybe jot down some points, whatever you think.
Mataji, can you please show the previous screen? The meaning of every word was written there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so is someone ready to share? Okay, who wants to go first? Bimla Prasad Prabhu, yes.
Um, Maji Hare Krishna. I know. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
I'm audible. All right. Um, yeah, Dadati Pratiganati. I think like more like it was more like Dadati rather than Pratiganati. It's like wait. Uh, it was more Pratiganati than Dadati. So it's like as one of the devotees in my yatra in my ashram, Padre Anubhav. So he has been like from the day I came back from Mayapur, and since the day he's like very automatic. I was not never had that kind of relationship. Just like I knew him well enough. That's all. So for the past that since then he's like I don't know why every day like taking care of my health in a sense like bringing me my morning, which is a special diet, which means like no masala, nothing like that. So he arranges that in the morning, in the evening, everything like whatever, even my medicines. Yes, day before yesterday. So while I was when you asked that question, fielded that question that like last 15 days, and I kind of that this came to my mind, and what also came to my mind along with it, that I haven't done anything for him in return. I haven't done even a single thing. There's no dadati from my side. It's only pratiganati. I'm just taking and taking and taking. I don't know like what spiritual principle, if at all, can be derived from that, except like that I am being very selfish. So
So
now
how do
I'm
you
realizing
feel? How do you feel?
I'm feeling selfish and feeling guilty about it. Yes, that's a fact. And well, all I can say, like, if you want me to draw some conclusion, it's just that's not devotional service. That's not a devotional temperament. Devotional temperament uh, is trying to give first and not at all inclined to take anything. If it comes by its own accord, so it comes.
Well, I mean, we can give, if not
Yeah.
now at the present moment. Uh, what I what's the word like? I feel is if we are grateful, because sometimes we feel we are not, qualified to receive that, and then actually if we feel grateful, then that actually enthuses us eventually in future to reciprocate accordingly, if
Hmm.
not now, at at some point of time, because being grateful, feeling grateful, he makes our heart, soft, and we still think about, have that person in our thoughts and minds, and we would want to offer him or her something in return at some point of time. May not be now possible for whatever reasons, circumstance, situation, but Krishna will arrange something. Yeah, but it is wonderful to have such kind of devotees around, um, who who make us feel,
Absolutely.
yeah. Because sometimes it is I mean, of course, if somebody has done something for us, then we must reciprocate to them accordingly. Um, but in some other times, we can do the same for the other devotees as well. So it doesn't have to be with that same respective devotee, because he may not need that or at that point of time. So it's not something like, it has to be done then and there. It can be done at some point of time. Yeah. Thank you. um, Anybody else? I saw another hand raised. Rukmini Hari Sevni Master. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvatnam. Mataji, in last 15 days, Dadati Pati Ganati or Bunte Bhojate. So these four things that I give to some another devotee, I accepted prasad from some another devotee, and oh sorry, I give something to some devotee and I accept something, uh, uh, some another mercy from another devotee. And 2 days back, one uh, one Mataji gave me something, and uh, and I gave something to day before yesterday. Yesterday only I gave something, and Akhyati Prachiti, it was there, but not heartily talk. So I don't know how to
Yes,
say
but
that.
not there.
Yes, of course. I talked with devotees. I explained the things. They also shared their heart. But what is my in my core of the heart? What actually I am? What I actually wanted? I want. Um, like with the Suhrid friend, a close friend, that thing was not there. Except that by the mercy of Guru and Guranga, I did all in last 15 days.
So how do you feel about it? What do you feel?
It is so good, Mataji, to give something to some devotee. It gives really, it gives you satisfaction. It gives me satisfaction. And Pratiginadi, when somebody gives me, and I feel so obliged that I don't know, I haven't done anything to that devotee, but they are doing a lot. So it gives me like. Mm, uh, I feel so much blessed when the mercy comes like in this way. And the same in the Bhunte Bhojate. And when a devotee gives me something to honor, I feel like yes, there is someone that who really I need and I can have something. And Bhojate, this is amazing. This is I love the most. So whenever I want to cook something good, I really like to give to. Uh, I have a like habit to give to others, and this is my best. So it gives me real satisfaction. In fact, I don't feel myself. I feel after honoring Prasad, I don't find like this much of satisfaction when I cook something and gives to some another devotee. It gives me it likes it fulfilling my stomach like this.
Good. So your conclusion is, you feel more encouraged probably with doing this kind
Yes,
of.
yes, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Priya Satyavama, yes.
Hi, Krishna Mataji. So,
Hi.
Mataji, we had the fortune of serving Vamshivaran Prabhu at a house for lunch. So, I think that was one good experience where we could have a lot of Harikatha and we were able to serve Prabhuji. So, it wasn't much, but it left a good mark on that afternoon where you could actually relish whatever pastimes Prabhuji was sharing. And Krishna is kind, so I go to service on every Sunday. I go to every Sunday to the temple to do some service. So there's this one Mataji that was with me doing service in the temple. So she very kindly offered us Jagannath Mahaprasadam from Jagannath Puri for Rath Yatra. So You know, there was something good. And you actually feel like, okay, if you weren't there in Puri, but you get that Mahaprasadam. So I think Krishna is not different from Prasadam. So I think Prasadam plays a very important role in our lives. So there's that.
Okay, good. Thank you. So what conclusion can you draw with this? Like you feel good and what do you conclude with this?
So the more we get association of devotees, Mataji, I mean, I think I have felt this. I belong to. I mean, before marriage, I used to be in a non-devotee family. So the change that I felt is the more I've started going to the temple, the more service I've started doing, the more association I've gotten from devotees. I mean, I don't deserve 1 ounce of it. I don't know how, Krishna has made me so lucky. I think there's so many things that just change in you. You're able to uh, relate better to Krishna through the mercy of devotees. You're able to understand things better. I mean, I've read Bhagavad Gita before, but the way I've understood it now, I don't think I've ever understood. I mean, I've read Nectar of Instruction before, but the way I'm understanding it now was not what it's before. So I think all of this is because of association of devotees and the mercy that we get through them. So similarly, prasadam and inquiries and listening, I think these things, I have felt a change. I mean, little bit. Not much, but I'm working towards it. I'm trying to improve. So Krishna has been kind, very kind to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Ras Raman Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, I raised my hand quite late, so if your lack of time, then I can stop. If you allow, then only I should speak.
No, you can speak. Why not?
Okay, Mataji. So, as per this verse, Mataji, I personally feel like inviting devotees, especially devotees in saffrons, resident monks of the temple, to my home often. I always remember I always remember Prabhupada's pastime, Prabhupada's father's pastime, basically, Gaur Mohan Day. He used to invite so many devotees to his home and always ask for their blessings for his son, means Prabhupada. So similarly, I just follow in the footsteps of Prabhupada's father. I try to follow in the footsteps of Prabhupada's father. So whenever there is an occasion or without even occasion, I try to invite resident devotees of the temple, not exactly resident devotees, but sometimes also grasta devotees also come to our home, and we try to serve them to the best of our abilities. And finally, when they leave our home, we try to offer them gifts as per our capacities, and in return ask for their blessings for uh, me, my wife, my children, just blessings, this much blessing only, that we could remain in the service of Guru and Gauranga. That's it. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, it's very, very important to have service and stay connected and be involved in devotional service, and that is only possible through the mercy of devotees. So yes, it's very important to keep us encouraged in this path of bhakti. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. All right, so here, Prabhupada is saying, like Priya Satyabhama Mataji was mentioning or sharing that she wasn't devotee before she was married, and then she has learned so much after being here, associating with devotees. So Prabhupada is saying that Rupa Goswami advised that that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. Okay, and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 kinds of loving exchanges between devotees. So that gives a very, very wonderful opportunity for all of us in this ISKCON to uh, it gives us a window to actually practice these six symptoms. It facilitates us so that we can exchange these six symptoms of love between devotees, and hence enhance and advance in our bhakti. Now, I have a question like some of you who have shared uh, this past 2 weeks, Um, now, in regards to this symptom, Bhukya Makyati Pruchati, has anyone of you had any uh, challenges? So, if Sampada is here today, I don't know, I don't see her. Is
Um,
she here around?
Mataji, I'll make the breakout rooms for today.
Who is that I can see?
Tarun.
Okay, okay, thank you. So then you can divide them in pairs, okay? And they
Okay.
can discuss with their partners what challenges we may face in applying Guhya Makyati Prichati.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you give them like 10 minutes. You can set up a time for 10 minutes. Now it's a 7:40, so 7:50. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, Mataji. Yeah.
okay, thank you. Tarun Prabhu,
Yes, Mataji.
here in the room number 3, uh, there are 3 people.
Yeah, actually, there were rooms where no one joined, so I just shuffled them.
I see, I see. I mean, you because Bimla Prasad Prabhu probably is not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a student.
Yes, yes.
So maybe you can move one of these from room number 3 to room number 5. Yeah.
Okay. I think they would have started, so
Okay, maybe you can check how.
okay, I'll join in that room and I'll ask them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Bhakti Sastri.
Uh, Mataji, all the participants have joined back.
Okay, good. So, who wants to go first? I see Priya Mukund Pro on the spotlight, so is he gonna go first? Okay, Ruchi Gupta Mataji.
I think the challenges in Guhyam Akriti Prachiti would be, first of all, fear of being judged by your peer devotees or your mentor. Some devotees could be shy or introvert in sharing their heart openly, and then ultimately they fear losing devotee association by being judged, and lack of faith in our mentor or lack of faith in other devotees, confidentiality or privacy issues, and then person being a senior devotee, we fear disturbing them for our little problems, and then inferiority complex on having doubts, our own doubts, that why to disturb senior devotees, sometimes we think like that. And in overcoming these challenges, I have some suggestions, Mataji, that initiative from the mentor side could be taken. Mentor can push the devotees to share their heart out, and then also from the mentee side, he or she should develop little confidence in their mentor, or develop more faith and trust. Thank you.
Thank you. This developing faith and trust, it it doesn't happen overnight, correct? It takes time, and here, like I was there in one of the rooms, and if you read through the purport, where where mentioning after the six symptoms exchanges, Prabhupada writes, an experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. So this is Guhyam Akhyati Prachati. It doesn't have to be among your peers, and even with the mentor or the counselor or whoever that is, unless we have that trust and faith, and these are all Guhyam Akhyati Prachati is on your spiritual queries, not our, we, like we were discussing, it's not like dumping our own personal issues onto them, and be like, okay, let you take the decision for me. I just kind of said. So it doesn't work that way. um this is, we don't have to tell everything to everyone. I mean, personal thing. These are the spiritual queries or inquiries, you can say, which we ask the that senior devotee from whom we are learning. And what kind of questions, it's something like, okay, this is what I'm facing problem with my spiritual life, or and but one need to have that, find that person whom you can share that thing out. Unless you're comfortable, how you're going to be sharing? I mean, that guilt, or that that kind of feeling is there. Or what if, like, if my life is going to be shared with somebody else? So no, not with that kind, those kind of devotees. It's to be inquired from those um, who are experienced and from whom we are learning, and those who want to help us, right? Because when we are inquiring, Mukhyamakhyati Pruchati, when we are asking them and sharing, so that we need to invest that, have that kind of person whom we are sharing with. Yes, and I'm sure we all can find that one person or two persons or whatever that is. Okay, let's hear from all other participants and then we can do a conclusion. So Tarun Patodi Prabhu, if I request whoever is speaking, if they can switch on their video, so I don't feel the person is impersonal.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
So what I was thinking that to share your heart with someone, to discuss your anarthas, it takes a lot of courage, because generally what you portray in front of others is a very good example of yourself. Like what we are is actually known when we are alone, what we are thinking at that time. So those things are very important. And definitely, like we should discuss with our guide mentors those things, and he should inquire. But when we are going to a physician, so it's important that we disclose everything, whatever problems we are facing. If we are hiding some things from them, then he will not be able to diagnose and rectify it. So that is why it's important that when we are trusting someone as our counselor, mentor, guide, or spiritual master, then we should be like an open book to with them, like this.
And yeah, is it not that oftentimes I have seen those mentors, counselors, or whatever, they kind of exploit as well. They want their way. So we need to be, careful about those things also, and choose that kind of authority wisely, whom we are going to be opening our hearts with. Bimla Prasad Prabhu, you want to share something? See here.
I I cannot agree more. And as you said, I totally am in agreement with you. That's the basic problem. It's basically the misunderstanding of this problem of this verse, which causes more damage than anything else. As you said, the part when I was hearing talking about an exploitative relationship between the counselor, things like that. It all happens because of the misunderstanding of this verse, and as a result, and also had got to do with the misunderstanding of the very concept of surrender. So that's all I can say.
Okay. So let's hear from the other two devotees and then we'll see. Ras Raman Krishna Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So I was with Rukmani Hari Sevini Mataji in the room and with Priya Mukund Prabhu. So we were discussing. So we reached common points. We reached common conclusion. Out of these 6 elements of this verse, of course, this one, Guhyam Akhyati Prachyati, is the toughest one. So confiding in someone is really a great job. So unless and until, like Bimla Prasad Prabhu said just now, unless and until we surrender completely, it's not possible. So one of my instruction masters in the past used to say, His Grace Rukmani Krishna Prabhu in New Delhi, Punjabi Bagh Iskon Temple, he used to say that we must respect all the devotees, we must follow some, and we must confide in one or two. Now getting that one or two devotee, whether he or she is senior or at our equal level, but to talk of juniors, so is really a great job. So it's a challenge really. So I would like yes, you should please throw some light over this, how we should handle this challenge. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from the other participant also. Rukmini Harisevani Mataji, yes.
Yes, Mataji. I was saying in the group also that first of all, it's really very difficult to share your heart, but you are what from which anartha or from which problem. Because in bhakti, generally what happens like we are performing devotional service, but we face many material challenges also. So most of the time, um, Hari Katha, in my case, I feel like yes, Hari Katha comes secondly. Our problems are there. There are so many problems which comes in just performing Krishna consciousness. So going further, so first of all, it's very difficult to share the heart. But once we share our heart, and I feel like I have experienced many times that I trusted somebody, but out of innocence or immature behavior, if they share something, if I'm sharing something, and if they tell this further, of course it would be out of innocence only, but I feel very very bad. So because I have also an artha, it's my false ego that I consider myself with the body. So this is really difficult. And it's one more thing, Mataji, that it's really important that guyantam has to be maintained. That way it's a confidential things. So and with the senior, I feel like sometimes if we feel any problem, and if we are sharing, we don't want the solution, we want that we are sharing things, so they should not talk further. So if they are just talk to me and can help me to come out of it, that's enough for me. So these things come.
Yes, yes. Is there anyone else who wants to say something? Or they don't feel that this is important or this is challenging or this is okay if there's nothing else.
Maybe one thing I would like to say here is
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes we don't have confidence in ourselves to share. It feels like you might be troubling the other person, or your query is not that important that you should be asking. Instead, you should struggle to solve it yourself. That is one thing I have personally also struggled with. And in
Mm-hmm.
relation to the same thing, Mataji, I have a question that I want to ask from you is often, as you said, that your senior counselors want their way with you. Now, how do you escape that? Or if you don't want to, how do you tell your senior counselor, okay, is there any other way, or you don't think? I mean, sometimes, they think that it's right. Maybe it's right also, but we don't have that sort of understanding that it's right. So how do you solve this?
See, there are two things to this. One is personal life and one is like spiritual life. Okay. So, I mean, your personal life, you know well, right? And like you're married, you have family, you have husband, you have children, and you have so many other family members. So you know your family situation better than anybody of us sitting in this room. Am I correct? You know what your husband likes, you know what your kid like, you know what your in-laws like. It's not that none of us do. And it's just very easy to say something out of the bloom, oh no, you should be doing like that, but you are the one who need to be trying to figure it out how I'm going to be doing that, when you know it's not that easy. Okay, so this is something like, it's not directly spiritual. So here, Guhyam Akhyati Pruchati, here what this verse is saying is about spiritual inquiries, right? Like
When I say Mataji that we're talking to a spiritual counselor, I don't mean it in that I'm including the material mundane aspects here. I'm asking more spiritual only. You know, sometimes you feel like that you need to complete your rounds on a certain point of time. But I mean, if I tell you my personal situation right now, my kid needs to leave school at 7:30 in the morning. I mean, I do wake up at 4:35 o'clock, but I am absolutely unable to start my rounds before 7:30 because he leaves for school at 7:30. So that is so conflicting. I mean, this is one example. I'm just saying, I agree that we have to mold our lives according to our personal situation. So when I say that we talk to our senior counselors and need an answer for them, I don't mean it in the personal life. I'm absolutely restricting it to the spiritual sense only. That,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
you are not able to deliver that, but your spiritual counselor really wants you to deliver that. Then you're in a dilemma. Okay, and how do you sort that out?
Vimla Prasad, you have to say something? You can say.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this whole subject, basically what like my limited experience in ISKCON.
Your
Uh,
voice is bit lower. It's
um,
like,
maybe
yeah,
now maybe I will more audible,
yeah, yeah,
louder. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm saying my understanding of the subject matter, and like my 22 years in ISKCON, whatever I could gather. As I said, as I started at the outset, uh, this verse is has to be understood in its context. Actually, most of the problems which I find uh, arises, and like the discussion which was going on, although everybody has got their obviously their own experiences, everybody's sharing their own experiences, and those experiences are only have only I would say um, solidified my view of the problem vast majority of ISKCON faces in handling this verse and the ramifications of that, because the verse is strictly about, as Prabhupada writes, a senior, it doesn't even say senior, it says advanced. An advanced devotee explains, and a not so advanced devotee like hears that explanation. So it's like Gurumakati Pichari is strictly on spiritual subject matters. And why? Because if you see Bhagavad Gita, it also talks about Guya, Guyatar, and Guyatamam. So all these three angles of a spiritual life. So which is basically what is related to Brahma and Paramatma and Bhagavan. Unfortunately, this verse has been misunderstood and misapplied, and also used as a whipping, yeah, as a whip to basically uh, whip devotees into falling, as we call, fall into line. So I understand that my understanding is Bhakti Shastri, a program like Bhakti Shastri should be like the platform which should be eye opener for all participants, in that sense that it is only about your spiritual life, not even allied things, because that's like Kwasi or anything that falls into the category of Prajalpa or Jalpa. Okay, fine, not even Prajalpa, then Jalpa. So yeah, idle talk, anything, socializing, anything but uh, Krishna consciousness. So it doesn't, the verse doesn't apply to that. Say for example, like somebody, as I was hearing one experience, like I confided in somebody and then he broke the confidence and things like that. I mean that if it's a spiritual query, what possible things can be possibly, like, except if say for example I am telling somebody my swarup and he let the word out. That might be the only thing I might be really annoyed about. But otherwise, I don't see how, like, what kind of experience with, like, say for example, my DT spoke to me. It's not an experience you should be telling around people. So otherwise, like, what possible things are, like, as we say, like revealing my heart. Or I think there's some things we are supposed to keep to ourselves rather than going around telling people, even if it's one person. And I mean, somebody taught me a very good lesson. One of the devotees, my junior devotees, taught me a very good lesson. She said that if you cannot keep your secret to yourself, don't expect anybody else to keep it to them. So I felt that, I felt pretty strongly about it. Well, yes, if you cannot keep your secret to yourself, don't expect anybody to keep it for you. So I think these two things got gets mixed up. One is the spiritual life and the secrets of the spiritual life, and the secrets of my life, which may be basically my interaction with all the three modes of material nature, has got nothing to do with actually with this verse. That's what I understand.
And also, I feel those who are taking up that lead, if devotees are asking us question, and those who are lead, they can give um how you say, they can give us guidance, but keep it open and let that person decide and do accordingly. That's also very important. But because most of the time, if we confide, in someone, and then they come in and give their own interpretations of how it should be, then it may be a bit challenging for us to take that as well. So that's why before confiding in someone, we need to first be very thoughtful about that, what we are trying to explain to them, and what we are trying to inquire from them. As Vimla Prasad Pro was saying, that if it is like spiritual, like how did you manage, if you ask your that senior devotee, what are the challenges you faced, and how could I get that into practicality of getting things done. So the person who is giving that kind of advice should be open, um, and let the person decide to what they want to do. Like even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, after speaking the Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna that do as you like, because I told you everything. Now it's your decision. So ultimately, it should be left up to the person that what he or she and how they want to um, move ahead. That's also the other part from from that side. Because ultimately, we have to walk our own way back to Godhead. We can take help from all this, but ultimately it's our intent and our desire, um, how we want to move ahead. But as this verse is very clearly explaining and saying that Guhyamakhyaati Prichati, an advanced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him, right? So when that kind of hierarchy is there, then it's quite natural for things to flow down easily. But if we are not going to a very advanced devotee, then all these kind of problems come in, where we have our own like insecurities or concerns, that what if he says or she says I'm not able to follow that. And it's like two ways, even the person, as I said, who is giving that advice or that um mm, uh, putting a light on your queries, he or she also should have that thing, that yes, they're asking and I'm telling them, and ultimately it's up to that person what and how and when he or she can uh, follow that, and how they want to take it in their lives. So it's actually both ways, yes. but it's solely it's all spiritual topics, nothing with your nothing to do with our material problems, because material world is full of suffering. There will be problems always. uh, so that's something for sure, which has been, we have read through and coming across again and again. So there's no end to the sufferings of the material world. um, yeah. Okay, so let me share the screen. Mm. So here in page 40, if you go in your book, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think ninth line from top, where it says this society was started single-handedly. If somebody could read from there until the next paragraph, where the verse is there, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Kabuno. So somebody can read that. Ruchi Mataji, you can read.
This society was started single-handedly, but because people are coming forward and dealing with give and take policy, the society is not now expanding all over the world. We're glad that people are donating very liberally to the development of the society's activity. And people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contributions we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines, dealing strictly with the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. We sometimes hold Hare Krishna festivals and invite like members and friends to participate in the feasting and by accepting prasad. Although most of our members come from the higher rungs of society, they nonetheless come and take whatever little prasad we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the method of performing devotional service, and we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world, and the intelligentsia of all countries is gradually appreciating our Krishna conscious activity. The life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these six types of loving exchange among the members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with the devotees of ISKCON, because simply by reciprocating in six ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 2.62, it is stated, Sangha Sanjayate Kamaha. One desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. It is also said that a man is known by his company, and if an ordinary man associates with devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is innate in every living entity, and it is clearly already developed to some extent when the living entity takes a human body. It is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Should I stop here?
Yeah. So, what's the relevance of Prabhupada's statements according to this about ISKCON's future?
They will run for 10,000 years.
Your voice isn't clear, sorry.
That ISKCON will be there for next 10,000 years.
Okay.
I think, Mataji, what I understand that like if people are associating with devotees, they will naturally become inclined. And for that, like more than speaking to them, what outsiders will see that uh, what kind of relationship is there amongst the members of the society. If they are seeing that they are having a happy relationship, uh, a very loving relationship amongst each other, so they will not go to outsiders to find that kind of relationship. If
Correct.
devotees have a very healthy relationship, then definitely more and more people will get attracted to the movement, and the movement will expand.
Very wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you. Rastraman Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. What I understand out of these statements and the relevance of Prabhupada's statements to the future of ISKCON, what I understand is Prabhupada was clearly saying that uh, like in ISKCON, people are normally from higher rungs of the society. So of course, educated people, so many educated people are there, and people should come forward, and devotees should associate with these so-called educated people, and share with them whatever they could share with them, like little prasadam or magazines or books. So what I understand, the greatest contribution of Prabhupada for these educated people, for this higher run class of the society, is his books. Through his books, these educated people can understand what what ISKCON is doing. And of course, we have seen and we are observing also right now, people are understanding. Even the political circles of every country, uh, I think, are understanding. Even in India, like in India, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and so many other high class people are understanding the ISKCON's contribution to the society. So what Prabhupada had envisioned at that time is, I think, clearly seen today. So what I understand is this. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful. So, Ruchi Gupta Mataji,
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
you want to say something? Yes.
Yes, Mataji. Actually, my question pertains to the previous topic that we were discussing, where Brimla Prasad Prabhuji mentioned that this verse is not about discussing our material thing. So I want, in this connection, I wanted to know, but we are actually, this is what we have always been taken this verse as in and applied it accordingly. We used to ask our personal problems to our mentors. So now we should, now that we have learned this, what actually this means, so should we stop doing that, or what should we do?
See, it's your personal problem. So we need to see whom we want to discuss a personal problem to. And if that is something that is helpful for you, then go ahead. If that is something enhancing your devotional life, go ahead. But if it is something which is hampering you, and then you need to think about it. Yes. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, you are the decision maker of that. What needs to be discussed and asked for? Yeah.
Right, Mother. Shastra does not recommend that, right?
Sorry.
Mataji,
Shastras do not say anything about that, right, Mataji? They do not recommend these kinds of
I mean, that's
discussions.
not this verse is saying. Here it's clearly saying that about spiritual topics. But if we want to
Got
go
it,
ahead
Mataji.
and do that, that's up to our wish and comfort level. But we can't then we can't say that we are it's according to Shastra or something. Shastra is saying something. Yeah.
Mataji, if you allow, can I add something to this?
Yes. Okay.
Ruchi Mataji, what I understand and
Thank
what
you.
Mataji also said that there is a in management studies there is a principle, management by exception. So I think we should follow that management by exception principle also here. We should not approach our seniors or spiritual master with everything of daily routine. Just see what the problem. If the problem is really grave, then definitely approach them. And if it is really hampering your devotional practices, then you should approach them. Otherwise, try to be patient and patiently just handle every situation. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so back to what we were discussing here. Um, the relevance of Srila Prabhupada's statements for ISKCON's future, according to this reading which we have gone through. This is a very important section here while in the reading, where it ends this Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Kare Uday. So that, like before also Prabhupada is saying that this this um, this Krishna consciousness is dormant in all the living entities, and ISKCON is actually giving a chance for every one of us to revive. So that's a big future, that this verse where from CC Madhya, where it says pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. It is not to be gained. When the heart is purified by cheering and chanting, the living entity naturally awakens. So, International Society for Krishna Consciousness is giving a chance to all the living entities to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. And how, like, we do Sankirtan around the streets, then Prabhupada goes on explaining that when chants the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the heart is cleansed of all mundane contamination. So that's a very, very wonderful um, boon to the society which ISKCON is giving, as propagating this chanting of the holy name, giving each one of the living entity a chance to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. Rukmini Hari Sevani Mataji, you want to add something?
Mataji, just wanted to say what you said. That I'm very thankful that I read this book earlier also, but now I have come to know about the actual meaning of Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. So, as you are saying that, I was also thinking that if we perform these 6 things, Dati Patike Nadi Guhyam Akhyati Prichati Bunte Bojte Cheva. So, if we do these 6 things, that the goal of human form is to get to attain Krishna Prema. So Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhaka Bunai. So that we can achieve how? Just by doing these 6 things. This is amazing. Like now, this I have come to know. I might be wrong also. This is my understanding. So just by doing these 6 things with the devotees, our dormant love for Krishna can be awakened and will awaken. And this the first part of of your question, and the second is how this is uh, relevant for ISKCON's future. And yes, as we do kirtan and other things, so people get attracted, and what we do, we do these things only with them. We give the prasadam, we give them harinam, like this. So this was, I just wanted to share. And thank you so much, Mataji, for clarifying what actually, and I want to thank His Vimla Sai Prabhu also to actually understanding the Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. Thank you.
Because we are in the material world, there will be some problem. Today there is something, tomorrow there will be something else. Today the landlord is saying something, tomorrow there will not be any electricity, the day after tomorrow there will be something in the children's school, or it just goes on and on and on. There's no end to it. Every Sunday, when if there is a program, there will be something which will obstruct us, that we cannot go. There would be something which is happening, this or that. So this is a material world, and it's full of suffering, and something will be always there. We just need to move on with our devotional activities, devotional service, because this is just a part of the life. If you solve one thing, 10 things are already in line, they're waiting for you. So there's no end to it. Yeah. So, okay. In this verse, now Prabhupada is speaking about negative injunction of this verse. Like, okay, this we covered. Okay. So, like, you know, it says that lab matra, even if you get a moment of association of a sadhu, it does wonder in our life, right? So exchanging love with devotees who are of the same aspiration as oneself and who are affectionate to oneself enhances one's bhakti. And offering and accepting items, revealing confidential realization to one another, and serving and accepting food are all activities that increase affection, right? One should not perform these activities with those of different aspirations in one's life than one's own. So there are some negative injunction of this verse which Prabhupada explains. Like if a snake is given milk to drink, its poison simply increases. And for a similar reason, we should not disclose our minds to the serpent Mayavadis and Karmis. So we should be very careful that whom we are associating with. We shouldn't be intermingling with them. So, like he further goes on and says, it is best to avoid this association with and completely and never ask them about anything confidential because they cannot give good advice. Nor should we extend invitations to Mayavadis and atheists, nor accept their invitation. For by such intimate intermingling, we may become affected by their atheistic mentality. Sangat sanjayate kama. So, the kind of association we keep, that kind of, things are going to go in our lives. So we just want to be keep ourselves aloof from these kind of thing. And like Mahaprabhu has also warned, we have read and heard so many times that by eating food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes wicked. Unless one is very advanced, he is unable to utilize everyone's contribution to further the Krishna consciousness knowledge. And also, Prabhupada says there's a danger for a preacher, like often, we give them gifts and, things like that. If he receives great quantities of money, or as soon as he spends even a single paisa or a single rupee of the collection for his personal sense gratification, he becomes a fallen victim. So that's why even when we are giving the Dati principle, we give them according to their requirement and things like that. And also those who are taking that, receiving that, they need to be very mindful of how it's going to be spent. Right? Like here Prabhupada is saying, for a preacher, when he receives great quantities of money, for as soon as he spends even a single cent of the collection for his personal sense gratification, he becomes a fallen victim. Rukmini Hari Sevanivatri, yes, you have a question?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, Guhyam Akyati Prachati. So this Guhyam Akyati Prachati is only spiritual things, right? Spiritual topics, as I just come to know. So Mataji, are we on the same track? Like if we are associating, as you said in the previous slide, we were talking about talking to the non-devotees. Is it the same like talking to spiritual things to non-devotees?
See, with non-devotees, we are preaching. We are not discussing confidential topics with them.
Confidential topics means spiritual topics only, right?
Yeah, so with non-devotees, we are preaching them and we are just, talking or, associating with them whatever is required. Say, like if somebody is working in an office or somewhere. So, you have to talk with your colleague for something, you need to get that file or whatever you're working in the office for. So that much you need to talk to them too. And maybe you can try to preach, that's about it, but not opening your hearts and mind to them and things like that. So that's like a danger.
Mataji, again I'm coming to the Ruchi Mataji's question that of course we are performing we are doing spiritual practices, but in performing spiritual practice we face so many things materially, there are challenges. So for that, I personally need a suggestion that what should I do with that. Suppose I'm not well, so I can ask that to how should I perform this spiritual activity if I have this problem. Second, like yes, I have problem with this material problem I have. So how shall I will be able to cope up with my spiritual activity,
See,
right?
whomever
Somebody
we
is
are
in
asking, whomever we are asking, if we have that full surrender and faith on that person, then you just follow whatever that person is telling you and giving you that advice. But most of the time we just keep asking around, but then we were like, oh, he said or she said like that, I don't think so if I can do that. So if that kind of thing is there, then actually that is not helping. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not going anywhere. Neither that person is able to help you, nor you are able to take his or her help either. So we need to be very, very thoughtful and mindful of what we are going to be asking, and can we really take it. If we cannot and we are not in that situation, then better to try to figure it out ourselves for some time, and if not, then approach. Then otherwise, if we just feel helpless, we just go ahead and ask them, and then see how much can we do. Yeah, ultimately it's whatever helps to enhance our bhakti. But again, as I said earlier also, we have to take our own decisions. Somebody else cannot take decisions for us. We have to chant our own 16 rounds. Nobody else is going to chant for us. So it's the same thing. Everyone has to carry their own cross in spiritual life. We can help each other in some way to some extent, but ultimately we are the ones who has to choose the path which way we want to go.
So, Mataji, suppose I have, if I'm talking to my mother and my mother is not devotee, and I'm talking to my mother's sister, I'm talking to my Masi, she is not devotee, but she helps me for everything, and I can freely talk to her anything. So, should I carry on? Because now I have come to know that Guya Makyati Prachati is just a spiritual thing, and I'm not gonna talk spiritual things
See,
with
if
her because she will not gonna understand.
yeah,
But performing, hmm.
if that is something helpful in your devotional life, you can do that.
But she's a Mayavadi.
So you see, you have to decide what you are going to be sharing, and to what extent is that going to be helpful for you, because everything is now there in the book. Everything is there. Prabhupada has given, and we need to decide ourselves to what extent is this going to be helpful, and to what extent this is not. See, oftentimes we're quite used to of, you know, uh, like, okay, we want others to make decisions for us. So we need to come out of that. We need to help ourselves and see. We have to, in this Bhakti Sastri exam, uh, whoever needs to get the certificate, they have to study themselves and read and give the OBA, CBA, and the Shloka test and everything, and then write the essay and then get the certificate. So we have to work ourselves. You
Mataji,
can get help around, but you need to see how much is that helpful for us. Yeah.
Mataji, just one thing. This asking questions, I think this entire counselor system, or asking your even personal problems, I think those will, if you are able to ask from our guide, if they are uh, in a good spiritual position or those things, so even asking our material problems, I think it might help in advancing our spiritual life, because sometimes our material situation might be hampering. Just like I'm getting a thought that sometimes like like parents who are devotees, they have so much they have so much tension that how will their children get married. So they discuss, like parents are discussing, although they are devotees and marriage is a material thing, but they need guidance from their peers, from their mentors, sometimes who are like Grasa counselors. So they need this kind of support also. So I think this it's not just like what I personally feel, that not just spiritual questions or inquiries, but even like having discussing about our material problems is also sometimes I feel that can come under Guhyam Akhayati Prachadi, because we might be discussing about our child's marriage with someone, but we cannot discuss with everyone, we cannot disclose it to everyone. But yes, we might need some guidance, like how to do, means like different aspects can be there. This is one example coming in my mind.
But we will discuss those kind of topics to only those whom we have that faith in, that talking
Correct,
is
definitely.
going to help us. You
Yeah,
know, so it's not that, as you said, we're going to talk around about that topic to everyone who just walks
correct.
in.
That is why we need confidentiality, that we know that we are talking with him, but he will not disclose amongst the community.
Yeah,
That is why this is very Guhyam. Like I cannot disclose about some things with to everyone,
yeah.
although it is material or spiritual.
So yeah, that's what I said. You can take help, and depends. You have to choose, and then in the ultimate, it's our decision. It's our personal, our spiritual life, right?
Definitely, yes.
I mean, we are all here to help each other in whatever extent or way we can. But ultimately, like I said, even Krishna told Arjuna, I told you everything. Now you decide what you want to do. Krishna didn't say that this is what you have to do. It was Arjuna's decision that what he wanted to do. Who was saying he doesn't want to fight, but in the end, he understood, right?
Yes.
So the same is with the whoever that is counselor, mentor, whatever, you give, and then it's up to the person to take the decision what he or she wants to do. I mean, we are there, the others are there to help and facilitate that to whatever extent. And then that we need to see, we seek shelter, or we seek this confinement with whomever, whichever devotee, and to what degree can we take that in.
And I feel, mother, like if we are not discussing even our material problems with devotees, I think the concept of devotee care will become very hollow, because relationship will be there. Like it's not just definitely our spiritual community is there, but even at our personal level also, the relationship will be there. And that is I feel that the entire concept of devotee care, because it was lacking in the initial days of ISKCON. That is why so many devotees left the movement, because they were not feeling nourished in the community. That is why the need of devotee care, and that is why ISKCON is emphasizing on this devotee care aspect, because initially ISKCON has taken a setback because of this. That is why we need this kind of relationship
It
amongst
has two
devotees.
sides, yes. I mean, devotee care, it was that extreme, and sometimes it goes to the other extreme also. That in the
Yeah.
name of devotee care, they just exploit. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not
Yes.
saying it's happening everywhere or every other person is like that, or no, not like that. So we need to seek the balance. So that has to be there. So that we need to see whom we are taking advice, and what kind, and things like that.
Mhm. Yes.
And it's this is the general principle, okay, and it's going to change for Rukmini Hari Sevani Mataji's situation. It's going to change for Rasavan Krishna Prabhu. It's going to change for you, but the principle is the same, and the details are going to vary. That's all. Ultimately, it's our decision.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Mataji, can you please go to the previous slide, please? Just previous slide.
In this one, by eating food prepared by worldly people.
No. One slide.
The
before
snake
this.
was the previous one. If
Yes, Mataji. Give food to others, we should not invade.
If a snake is given milk to drink, its poison simply increases. For a similar reason, we should not disclose our minds to the serpent via vibes and comments.
So, Mataji, in every slide we are talking about Akhyati, Akhyati Prichati. We are talking about spiritual things only, right?
This slide is, as I said, it's about the negative injunction of this verse. Like Prabhupada is saying, whom, what we shouldn't be doing. Yeah,
So
it's
all,
yeah. I mean, it's not exactly Guhya Mahyati Aprichyati. I mean, Prabhupada also said that we don't eat food and things like that. So it's everything. Like,
okay, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
okay, so now. So this Dadati principle towards the end, Prabhupada is saying that Rupa Goswami, when he decided to renounce, then he gave 50% in the service of the Lord and his devotees, and 25% for his relatives, and 25% he kept for his personal emergencies and requirements. So Prabhupada says that it's a very perfect example. This example should be followed by all devotees. Yeah. So here in the last paragraph, where Prabhupada is saying, Srila Rupa Goswami has such an example in his life. um, you know, and when he decided to retire, so he gave 50%, 25%. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, that we all should be, devotees should be following. Now, having said that, we follow whatever the maximum possible we can, to this extent, and those who can follow exactly what Sri Rupa Goswami has given and done, and if not during your life, but at least probably when you're retiring, we can do that, like how Sri Rupa Goswami did it. When we retire, whenever that is, we give 50% of life's earning in Krishna service, and 25% to the relatives, and 25% for personal emergencies. And this way, we can develop our dormant Krishna consciousness. Now, if we see here in this last section, the paragraph, this of this text 4 in the purport, Prabhupada is actually opening, here he writes, the devotee who is, the last paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth line from top. The devotee who is neither a neophyte nor a Mahabhagavat, but is within the middle status of devotional service, is expected to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friends with the devotees, show favor to the ignorant, and reject the jealous and demoniac. In this verse, there is a brief mention of the process of making loving transactions with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and making friends with the devotees. So here, this verse has, thrown some light on Madhyamadikari, because until now we saw what are his external devotional practices. Like here, Prabhupada says, like until now we saw like how he should be associating, and what he should, how he can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. So this verse is slightly touched upon Madhyamadikari, and then the following next two verses will discuss in detail about Madhyamadikari, text 5 and 6, his internal vision, and then we move on to the order of worshipable places, which is the highest. Yeah, so this is just a quick overview of the lesson topics. And here Prabhupada is saying that we should always keep company with devotees, observe regulative devotional principles, following the footsteps of the acharyas, and in full obedience carry out the orders of spiritual master. In this way, we shall be able to develop our devotional service and dormant Krishna consciousness. Actually, I was just while I was reading through, I came across this one bhajan from Bhakti Thakur in the Sharanagati, where its topic is titled as Bhajan Lalasa, where it's a small bhajan, where actually see, when these acharyas, when they wrote these songs, all these scriptural things which are actually in Sanskrit and that kind of language, so for them to be easily accessible to the common person, so they wrote in their native language, Bengali. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this bhajan where he is explaining these six loving exchanges, what they could do. Let me see if I can share that screen uh, from the internet. Just hold on. I don't know how to do that though. I'll try. I should do the stop share and then again share it, or
Yes, Mataji.
okay. Let me try. Okay. Just give me a few minutes. You can see?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So this one is Bhajan Lalasa song 4 from his book Sharanagati. See, like this bhajan starts with Dan Pratigraha, Mitho Gupta Katha, Bhakshan Bhojana Dan, Sangere Lakshana, Ei Chaya Hoye, Ihate Bhakti Pran. So if we just look at the translation here, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, he writes, I mean, here he says, O Lord Hari, to offer a gift and receive one in return, to give and receive spiritual food, to reveal one's confidential thoughts and make confidential inquiries. These are the six characteristics of loving association, and in them is found the very soul of devotion. Then the next uh, uh, verse which he says, तत्व न भुजिए ज्ञाने न अनजाने अज्ञाने असते ए सब कोरी भक्ति हराइनु संसारी होइनु सुदूरे रोहिले हरि. And if like it says that I have failed to understand the absolute truth, but and by practicing these six activities with non-devotees, either knowingly or unknowingly, I have lost all devotion. Thus, I have become a materialist. For me, you, O Lord, remain afar. See this verse where he's saying that Sudure Rohile Hari, that I was kept afar from Lord Hari because I kept associating and by practicing these six activities, I practice these six activities with non-devotees, sometimes knowingly and sometimes unknowingly, and the result was I have lost all devotion. And the third one which he goes says, Krishna Bhakta Jane Ei Sanga Lakshane Adar Koribe Jave Bhakti Mahadevi Amar Hrudoye Asane Bosive Tave. The day I cherish these activities of intimate association with the devotees of Sri Krishna, that day the great goddess of devotion will ascend and the throne of my heart. This is such a beautiful verse. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that, you know, when I'll cherish these activities with the intimate association of the devotees of Krishna, that day bhakti will sit on the throne of my heart. I mean, it's so beautiful that what Sri Rupa Goswami has given is the same, thing he has written, that in a very, very simple language, and a way that it's and see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote most of these songs quite towards end when he was retiring, and the kind of lifestyle, if we know briefly, it was so tight and packed schedule. Like from the morning, he was totally and doing service. He was a high judge. He was doing that, and at the same, and he was doing this devotional practice also. And towards the end, and he's saying that by practicing these six activities with non-devotees, either knowingly or unknowingly, I have lost all devotion. If he's saying, what is the situation of ours? And he's this is all his realization that he's writing, that the day I cherish these activities of intimate association with the devotees of Sri Krishna, that day, Bhakti Devi is going to sit on the throne of my heart. And in the last verse, he says, Ayoshit Sangi Jana, Krishna Bhakta Ar, Duhnu Sanga Parihari, Tava Bhakta Jana, Sanga Anukshana, Kabe Va Hoibe Hari. When will I give the company of those who are addicted to women and those who are not devoted to you? When will I get the constant association of your devotees, O Lord? So this is his hankering, the topic. It goes like Bhajan Lalasa, that he says that constantly by associating with devotees of Lord Krishna, one can progress in his spiritual life, devotional life, and keeping the association with materialistic people, to keep feeding them and talk with them. It's very simple. It's not something I have said it. This is coming from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'm just repeating whatever is there. And if he's saying that some years ago, and now with so much technology and every second our phone ringing with some kind of message, what kind of distraction do we have now? So we need to take our spiritual lives very seriously, and try to follow as much as sincerely we can, because we have lost so many lives. Let us give just this one life to Krishna, and try to be successful. So that's all I have to say for today, and we will meet tomorrow, the same time, 7 o'clock, and we'll look at the next two verses, text 5 and 6 together, which describes the internal vision of Madhyamadikari and Uttamadikari. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, just one thing. We have to do OBS. So I think one question is there from NOI. So
Oh, correct. I forgot about that. Good. I was thinking to actually say, okay, let me see. Hold on one sec. I had that question somewhere. Okay. How about a question from today's class? Because it will be nice for me to read those who didn't contribute as well, who are shy to speak for whatever reason, or they are busy with something. I would be very grateful to to read their comments and thoughts. So I'll the question is, I don't know if you have that your Bhakti Shastri book or something, or
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, handbook is there.
Yes, Mataji.
it's with you now?
I'll just get it, Mataji. Just give me 2 5
Okay.
minutes.
So I can then say you can mark. Rasraman Krishna Prabhu, yes.
Mataji, I have a question if you allow me to ask.
Yes.
If you have time, otherwise I can ask you tomorrow or the day after.
Okay, it's about.
It's about just recent Bhakti Vinod Thakur's dedication towards devotional service. Now you are saying that it was the stature of him. What to talk of us? So just regarding that, I have a question.
Yes, you can ask.
Okay, Mataji. So, like you said that Bhakti Vinod Thakur, of course, we have heard so many times during Bhagavatam and other lecture series. Bhakti Vinod Thakur was an exemplary acharya who dedicated his whole life to the devotional service. In spite of being a district magistrate, he did so much in the Krishna's devotional service. So, Mataji, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj used to say oftenly that we should do something unique, quite unique, so that Krishna and devotees or authorities, temple authorities should recognize us. So, Mataji, my practical question is now, what can we do? We are doing chanting, we are reading, we are associating with the devotees, whatever the limbs of the devotional service are there, we are trying to follow them as they are under the instruction of our instruction masters and mentors. So what else we can do? What else we should do so that we could also, I'm not saying that I want to imitate Bhakti Vinod Thakur, but yes, I have a strong desire to do something unique in the ISKCON so that my contribution should also be recognized. So can you practically suggest something what I can do or what we can do or we should do?
All of us have that some I would say what's the word? Mm, some specific capability or positives, or something that is very specific for us to us.
Talent basically we can
Talent.
say.
Yeah, and we need to identify that, and then do we tell that in Krishna's service. And see, there are many things, it's not just one. And prayers, we need to sincerely ask Krishna to engage us in his prayer, in his service. And prayers can do wonders, but it doesn't mean that we only just keep doing prayers. That's fine, but we need to work on it also. We need to identify that one talent or that capability that is something very specific for to us in this human body, whatever is being given to us. And all of us have something, and try to improve upon that. That would help. And serve more advanced devotees, because we get Krishna only by the mercy of devotees. Like, if I ask this question, that how did any one of us come to Krishna consciousness? Somebody will say through prasadam, somebody will say through book distribution or something, whatever. But in the gist, if you actually go down, it comes that you are in the fact that we are in this moment is because of devotee. Who gave you prasadam? Somebody gave, somebody cooked, somebody distributed, somebody gave it to you. Book distribution, who did it? Prabhupada wrote the books, and then somebody did the book distribution. You might have paid for it, but devotees gave that away. or somebody just walking through in the street, they saw Jagannath and Rath Yatra or Harinam, they got attracted. So it's because of devotees. They gave us, like Prabhupada was writing in the purport here, that the ISKCON's future is, like we were discussing, that we are reviving this Krishna consciousness is already there, dormant, in the dormant form, and we are giving each one of the living entity a chance, or an opportunity to enhance that, right? So that's how we all came in Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of devotees. Whatever that is, you came through books or prasadam or lectures or some stage program or harinam or whatever that is, right? So even for us to now progress in spiritual life, who's going to help us? Devotees. These 6 loving exchanges, whom we are going to do? We are going to do with devotees only, right? So serve more devotees, get their blessings, pray sincerely, and find that talent, that thing which actually you can do, more, because you need to have that enthusiasm to go on and do that. If somebody is not interested in accounting, it's just difficult to make him sit and do all the stuff over there. Credit will go in debit, debit will go in credit, and it's all a mess. So we need to identify that and seek shelter and pray sincerely and take the blessings. And Krishna will see our intent, what we want to do and how we want to do, and he will make the arrangement.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji.
So yes, Tarun Prabhu, you found out the
Yes, Mataji.
can you? I don't have that actually. There is a question there.
I see from chat this text for one question 5, which says that discuss ways in which we can overcome the challenges ISKCON faces in facilitating the 6 kinds of
Yes.
loving exchanges between devotees. Give reference to Sri Updeshamrit text 4 and purport in your response.
Yes, very good. So you have some WhatsApp group or something going on?
Yes, we have WhatsApp group.
So I mean, you are what's a Yagya Danish Prabhu? Somebody can post this. So that's a question for your OBA.
Only one question, Mataji.
Yeah, only one from this, because you have probably done one from SI, from Ishopanishad, because unit 5 has 2 parts. This is the second part. So one you wrote, I think, from Ishopanishad and one from instruction.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we close down for today, and we are 7 minutes over time. And rest we can take tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, because in Mayapur, actually 8 o'clock everything shuts. 9 o'clock is actually
Too much. It's too much. Sorry, Mataji, because of me only, because of my question. It was
no,
done.
that's fine. You can always ask questions. But we'll see. We have another 2 days, and we can. If something is unanswered or something, you can keep it in the car park, and we will see. We can answer it.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.